Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been 2 weeks of massive break and it has been a very interesting period of my life, and I hope that one day I'm going to share that journey with us. However, today we are starting with a very important, interesting, should I say controversial topic. I want to believe it's a bit controversial, and that is gaslighting. If you've ever felt like you've been constantly doubting yourself, apologizing even when you are not at fault, this video most likely is for you. So make sure you watch till the end, and also don't forget to share your thoughts at the end of this video. Let's get into it. All right, so before we move deep into the topic for today, what exactly is gaslighting? I know a lot of people have various perception or perspective about what gaslighting is to them. However, for me, I feel like gaslighting is just another word for manipulation. Gaslighting is simply a psychological manipulation where someone makes you question your reality, memories, and even your sanity. You know, it's that situation where they always make you feel like things that you are saying is actually just in your head, and that can cause a lot of emotional instability. Sometimes it's just that small sneaky phrase like you are too sensitive, that never happened, or you are imagining things in your head. Statement like this consistently in relationship could be a proof that somebody is being manipulated. What up some popular case study? I think for a lot of people, I want to believe at some point in our lives we have tried to manipulate people. I don't want to believe anybody is a saint when it comes to subject like this. You know, I believe at some point in our life we have actually gaslighted friends. We have tried to manipulate parents. We have tried to manipulate our colleagues, and all sort of approach in getting people to do what we want them to do for us. But however, there is a thin line where when it could become a toxic habit in relationship, particularly romantic relationships. A popular story that a lot of people are conversant with is the story of Samson and Delilah. So let's take them as a case study. You know, many people, whether you're a Christian or not, you have somehow would have heard about the story of Delilah, you know, who seduced Samson to giving her, his secret, and on the long run ended up using it against him. And that actually is a form of manipulation. And in our generation, we just changed that language and we call it gaslighting. So gaslighting is, like I said, is simply another word for manipulation. And we saw how out of the blues, Delilah began to hack Samson to give him the secret to his miraculous strength. And Samson gave a wrong answer. And then she began to, cry that, oh, you don't love me, you are lying, you are not telling the truth. And she did that quite a number of times before Samson finally, out of maybe frustration, gave her the right answer, and we saw how the story ended, right? So basically, Samson didn't perceive that this lady was trying to do something bad to him, but at that period, he just felt, oh, let me just give her the answer so that I can rest. Meanwhile, she was simply gaslighting in making him feel like he was doing the wrong thing by not giving her the answer. So by and large, is manipulation just comes in a very subtle way that most times those that are being manipulated or those that are being gaslighted, they are not fully aware of this scenario, and oftentimes it's usually after the effect of that event that they begin to see that, oh, I have just been jilted, I have just been manipulated. However, gaslighting can become so toxic when it becomes a consistent habit in a relationship, and over time it piles up and could lead to a very traumatic emotional event. Here are 5 traits gaslighters often show. The first trait is they make you doubt yourself. They make you begin to doubt your thoughts, your memories, your emotions. You start saying things like, maybe I'm just overthinking. But in the real sense, you are not. When you bring issues before them, I used to have somebody like that around, and whenever I bring up a matter, she was like, oh, it's not that deep, it's not this, it's not that. But I am feeling this way about it, right? So most of the time, gaslighters make you feel like what you are presenting or what you are feeling, what you are thinking is not real. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times that sometimes we over-exaggerate things. There are times that sometimes we are basically overthinking. However, when in a relationship, every opportunity you have to bring up a matter before your partner, and every chance they have is to either pull your thoughts down, make you feel like your emotions are not valid, make you feel like you are just overthinking things, that is not actually a good sign. So one of the traits is they make you self-doubt yourself, and you get to that point, you begin to doubt every thought that comes to your mind. Even sometimes when you are right, you begin to doubt that ability to discern right. The second is self-blame. Oh, this is a very, very useful weapon or useful tools that most gaslighters use. They make you begin to blame yourself, or when matters arise, they make you feel like you are at fault for certain issues. They never take up responsibility. Hardly will you find a gaslighter blaming or taking up responsibility. They are always quick to make you feel like you are to be blamed. The third trait is self-centered. They are quick to take your time, your energy, even your affections and your resources, but it's very slow to give. It's all about their needs. They never think about your needs. Every conversation revolves around them. Everything in that relationship or in that friendship, partnership revolves around them. Every opportunity they have to speak to you, it's always about themselves. So when you notice you are in a circle where someone who should be your partner, or even in a relationship, a romantic relationship, they are always too quick to get from you, but when it's their turn to return the favor, they are very slow. That could be a very valid trait of a gaslighter. The next trait is isolation. They make you feel like no one understands you, and I think this is a very, very serious part of the whole traits that I have shared so far, because every human wants to feel understood. It's that there is that innate need. There's that in-depth desire for everyone to feel heard and understood. So when you are in a relationship where every little conversation, the partner makes you feel like nobody can understand you, you are not understandable, every point you bring is just you have an issue, and that's why we are not understanding you, then you feel isolated. So you have to now start withdrawing from speaking up. So anytime you feel like you need to speak up because you don't want to be misunderstood, you are always silent. You always silence your voice from speaking. That is not also a very, very good sign. And lastly, they rewrite realities. When you bring up conversations, they are very good at twisting scenarios and making you feel like you are crazy for remembering or for bringing up matters that pertains to you or that pertains to your relationship. So they are quick to make you feel like you are like I said earlier, you are overthinking, or you are just crazy. This does not exist. Meanwhile, it clearly exists. So basically, a gaslighter is more or less like a liar or an advanced liar that is refusing to admit he or she is lying. One thing you observe so far from the trait that has been shared is that a gaslighter is good at focusing on you. But the problem is they are not focusing on you for your good. They focus on you to drain you and to control you. And that is why you have to be careful, because a gaslighter knows how to give attention, only that the attention is to drain you, to get from you, to control you, to manipulate you. So don't fall for their attention, but rather be sensitive to their manipulations. So what do you do when you are being gaslit? The first is communicate it. Now, I am a hard fan and advocate for communication, because oftentimes not every person actually are aware that they are being manipulative. I, for one, I have caught myself many times in that situation where I feel like I was being manipulated, not because I intentionally want to be, but like I always say, the human nature is naturally selfish. Every one of us, we have that self-centeredness, that selfishness, that potential. So it takes consciousness to not to be selfish. It takes consciousness to be sacrificial in our approach. So most times it's not everybody that are intentionally trying to manipulate you. So when you discuss it, when you call their attention to it, that I feel you are being manipulative, I feel you are not being considerate, I feel this way, and they are ready to listen, then it shows that, okay, this person actually is not trying to gaslight you. The problem is they are not just aware, and now you have drawn their attention to it. So that is why usually my first approach is always communication. Don't assume. Now that you've heard anyone that's list straight, and I say, my partner, my man, 5 out of the 5 traits, he qualifies for the 5. No, don't jump into conclusion, because like I said, every one of us have that potential. I remember sharing with one of my friends, and I told her, I said, I do something whenever I get home after the long day. Once I step into my house, I try to reminisce on my activities for the day. I try to think about what I did, what I said, something I did that I could have done better. And that particular day, I was remembering a conversation I had with a friend of mine, and I felt like I was being inconsiderate by asking her to do what I needed her to do for me at that point. Now, when I was doing it, I wasn't trying to manipulate her. I wasn't trying to be inconsiderate. But I think because of the spur of the moment, I forgot to focus on her and just focus on my own needs. And we all are learning. That's why I am sharing this out there. I'm being vulnerable enough to let you know that we all are learning. So, but I told her, I said that now I am now more intentional, more cautious, that I'm beginning to tell all of my friends, if in any way you feel like I'm being inconsiderate, point my attention to it. Let me know. Let me hear it from you, so that I can rethink. I can go back and reassess to be really sure that what I am doing is not manipulation. So that is why communication for me is the first go-to, rather than just assuming and concluding that this relationship is toxic. Sometimes it's not toxic. You just take 1 or 2 discussion conversations and it's going to be all settled. The second approach is take your stand. Take your stand. Now, it's not every time that communication would work. Sometimes even a gaslighter will still gaslight you while you try to communicate it to them. So that's why you have to be also careful and know when to take your stand. I think many times it's because we tend to be weak with people we love. We tend to be weak with our partners, and when that partner is someone who is manipulative, who wants to gaslight, who is always used to gaslighting you make it easy for them, right? So, but when they see you take your stand, sometimes it can just pull a string in their head, and they're like, okay, I think I have taken this too far for her to say she's going to do this, for him to not change, or for him to say he's not going to do what I asked for. Then it means I would have pushed him to the wall. So at that point, somebody who is really sensible, or someone who really cares, would take a moment to rethink all of their actions. So that's why sometimes it's good to take a firm stand. You are not trying to be rude. I'm not asking you to go ahead to be rude, but taking a stand. Sometimes taking a stand and making statement like, no, I remember that what you said. No, this is exactly what you said. Rather than say, oh, maybe I just overheard wrongly, or maybe you take your stand and say, no, I remember very clearly that you said this. So taking your stand sometimes could also help a gaslighter realize that, okay, they have taken it too far and they need to change at that point. Number 3 method, or number 3 approach, is check what you want. This one, my goodness, this one is one part that I think it's a big cure if you can understand it and if you can use it to your advantage. Check what you want. I have said this several times, that people often treat you, or people often learn how to treat you by the way you make yourself available, or by what you teach them. They learn from you how to treat you by what you teach them. So when they've seen that you are easily manipulated, or when they see that you are desperate for love, especially for those that are desperate for relationship, for marriage, for whatever, you are in desperation. Once you are in desperation, that is not the best time to do partnership. That is not the best time to get into a relationship, because if you go meet someone who is manipulative, they will use it against you. So you have to check what you want. Sometimes it is not even about the people who gaslight. It's not about the manipulators. It's about you. You are as selfish as they are, because you need something. You are going, in desperation to get it, and you meet your boss, who is now going to teach you how not to be desperate. So the point is, check what you want. Sometimes it's your desperation for love, your desperation for attention, your desperation for validation that opens this door for manipulators rather. So you have to check your appetites and make sure you heal from your appetite. Make sure you are not too desperate for all of this. It's not bad to need it, because we all need attention. We all need affirmation. We all need acceptance. We all need validations, love. We all need this thing, right? But when we begin to go after these things, in even not minding what is going to get affected on our path to getting these things, then at that point it's already desperate. What does it mean to be desperate? To be desperate simply means when you want to get something at a cost that is not right, or at a cost that will hurt somebody. That's desperation. That somebody could be you, because on the long run you meet a manipulator, a gaslighter, and they begin to hurt you. So you are already being desperate at that point. So check what you want. Make sure you heal from wrong appetite, and trust me, you will most likely not meet manipulators, because like attracts like. Most times when people tell me they are being gaslighted, or they feel like a guy gaslights them or a lady gaslights them, it's just because they met something that could be manipulated in you. So if it was not in you, they most likely will not come to you. So you only attracted your kind. So to repel such people, you have to also check your desires. And lastly, leave. 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 Sometimes you can't fix them. See, I think one thing we need to realize, or one reality we need to be awakened to, is some people cannot be fixed. I'm sorry to say, but look at the story of Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus. Like, just think. Sometimes I try to reason and think, because one thing I know is, okay, let's even read historically now, not spiritual. Let's read historically. The story of this Jesus is so loving. Like, reading the story, you just know that how would you be around such a person, and yet you are not still changing? Something is not happening to you. Like, you are not, and you still have the audacity to go sell him out without any viable reason. It's just a reality of life that we have to come into and realize that not everyone is going to change, and it is okay. It is okay to leave. It is okay to pack your load and say, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, it's okay. I'm not saying we should normalize living relationships at every slightest discomfort, or living, partnership, friendship. But I'm saying, when you get to that point where you realize this person is not changing and they are not ready to change, it's okay to leave. Leaving might hurt, leaving might be tough, leaving might come with a lot of memories. But see, it's better you leave than they make you leave. If you know, you know. So you have to realize that manipulation is not love. It's not love. So remember, gaslighters only have as much power as that you have given them. So take back your dignity and let them deal with the silence or the exit. Guys, we've come to the end of today's episode, and I'm sure one or two has been learned. And I would also love to hear from you. I need you guys to comment, please. Anytime you view and you don't comment, it's like you are saying this meant nothing to you. Please comment so that we can rub minds together. And trust me, I'm going to be responding to each comment. So it's very important, because topics like these are very important topics, and I would love to also learn from you, hear from you, share your story, share your experience. Share, even if you are the one who used to manipulate. Don't be ashamed to share. We can all learn how you became better from manipulating people. So also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is very important to us. And until next time, see you soon.